Hello friends! What happens when the ever-curious, talkative spirit of Gemini meets the silent strength and perseverance of the Ox? You get a person who is both dazzling and grounded, spontaneous yet reliable, quick-thinking yet methodical, a walking paradox who captivates the world without even trying. If you've ever met someone born under the Gemini Zodiac and the Chinese Year of the Ox, you probably walked away thinking, how can one person be so dynamic yet so stubbornly calm? Let's unpack this intriguing combination, one layer at a time. Love, a romantic puzzle with layers. In love, Gemini Ox individuals exist at the intriguing intersection of lighthearted charm and deep emotional grounding. On one hand, they are witty conversationalists, forever curious about the world and the people in it. They love learning what makes someone tick, what makes them laugh, cry, hesitate, or soar. But just when you think you've fully caught their attention, they vanish into their private inner world. This duality isn't a game, it's a rhythm, a push and pull that defines how they experience intimacy. Their emotions are rich but rarely on display. They may not wear their hearts on their sleeves, but that doesn't mean those hearts don't beat with great strength. These people are seductive in the most subtle way. As natural Geminis, they flirt not just with their words but with their energy, quick glances, smart jokes, and an effortless charisma that makes people feel noticed. It's easy to mistake their openness for romantic interest, but the truth is, they flirt with the world. What sets a true romantic connection apart for them is depth, an emotional spark that persists beyond the surface-level banter. This is where the Ox steps in, adding a slow-burning loyalty to the otherwise fluttering Gemini tendencies. They don't fall in love quickly, and even if it looks like they do, you can be sure they're assessing every angle beneath the surface. They need time to trust, to see if your soul aligns with theirs, not just in moments of passion but in seasons of life. The early stages of dating a Gemini Ox can feel like reading an extraordinary novel. Every page reveals something unexpected. They'll dazzle you with their ideas, their optimism, their creative view of the world. But then, unexpectedly, the pace changes. They become more reserved, more observant. This isn't a loss of interest, it's a shift into deeper consideration. When a Gemini Ox starts observing more than they speak, they're deciding whether to build something lasting. This moment of pause is sacred. If you rush it, you'll miss the beauty. If you match their rhythm, you might just earn a place in their carefully guarded inner circle. When they commit, they don't just want to be lovers, they want to be partners, allies, co-architects of a meaningful future. Love, for them, is a foundation on which to build life. They'll invest in you with time, energy, loyalty, and unwavering focus. But they'll never give up their sense of identity in the process. The need for intellectual and emotional autonomy runs deep. This means they're drawn to relationships that breathe, ones where both partners can be themselves fully. Try to box them in, control them, or demand constant emotional availability, and you'll trigger their need to escape. Their ideal partner is someone who knows how to give them space without feeling unloved. They also have a gift for remembering the little things, your favorite song, the book you casually mentioned months ago, or the way you prefer your eggs in the morning. These gestures don't come from obligation but from genuine care. To them, love is shown in the quiet details. Don't expect flashy dates or over-the-top declarations. Instead, look for the subtle consistency. The way they check in after a stressful day, the way they listen without interrupting, the way they protect your secrets like their own. Their love language is often rooted in acts of service and deep listening, even if they don't always verbalize their emotions outright. They are endlessly curious about their partners. They'll ask about your dreams, your childhood memories, your weirdest fears, not because they're nosy, but because understanding you feels like a never-ending adventure. Relationships with them are rarely boring. You'll have spontaneous road trips, existential conversations at 2 a.m., and moments of laughter that feel like medicine. But every adventure is paired with stability. The Ox's influence ensures that excitement never compromises dependability. And yet, their own emotional layers are harder to access. They are excellent at making others feel seen, but they often struggle to reveal themselves fully. Vulnerability doesn't come easy. They may open up in pieces, sharing glimpses of their inner world over time. Their hearts are not fortresses, but gardens protected by gates. If you're patient, kind, and genuinely interested, you'll be invited in. But try to rush the process or pry too hard, and they'll close those gates in an instant. At the core of their romantic identity is a desire for harmony, mental, emotional, and spiritual. They don't believe in fairy tales, but they do believe in love that grows stronger with each challenge, each shared success, each whispered moment in the dark. To love a Gemini Ox is to accept that you'll never fully unravel them, and that's exactly what keeps it exciting. The romance isn't just in how they love you, but in how they keep becoming, over and over again, right beside you. Marriage, stability meets stimulation. Marriage for the Gemini Ox is never entered into lightly. They may appear light-hearted in early relationships, but when it comes to choosing a lifelong partner, their criteria become deeply discerning. They are not seduced by charm alone. Beneath their witty banter and social grace is a calculating mind that asks the hard questions. Can this person evolve with me? Will this connection deepen with time? Can we challenge each other without threatening the foundation of our bond? For them, marriage is not just about romance. It's about long-term partnership, emotional safety, intellectual compatibility, and the ability to build something lasting together. If any of those elements are missing, they'll walk away before vows are even considered. Freedom and intelligence are non-negotiables for these individuals. Once inside a committed marriage, they require breathing room, both mentally and emotionally. A suffocating relationship, no matter how loving, will never last. The Gemini side needs mental stimulation, the chance to keep learning and experiencing new things. The Ox side craves structure and purpose. This means they're best matched with someone who encourages their curiosity while helping them anchor their ambitions. The ideal marriage, in their view, feels both like a sanctuary and a launch pad, a place to rest and a place to grow. When they do say, "I do," they mean it with every fiber of their being. They become fiercely loyal spouses, often investing their whole hearts and minds into creating a stable, harmonious home life. The Ox brings a traditional view of partnership, one rooted in commitment, responsibility, and long-term planning. They'll take charge of the practical aspects of life, from finances to scheduling to family logistics, and they'll do it with quiet reliability. Meanwhile, the Gemini side adds color, spontaneity, and humor to daily life. This balance is one of their most powerful traits in marriage, the ability to make even mundane routines feel alive. Their approach to married life is dynamic. It evolves. Early in the relationship, they're focused on connection, late-night talks, planning for the future, endless dreams of travel or projects to tackle together. As the years pass, they adapt by shifting focus to shared growth, building careers, managing a household, raising children, or investing in long-term goals. They love synchronized efforts, matching calendars, mutual financial planning, regular check-ins. They see marriage as an operating system that must be updated regularly, not to control the relationship, but to maintain harmony and alignment. They thrive on clarity and intentionality. One of the cornerstones of their marriage philosophy is mutual evolution. They believe that two people must continue growing not only side by side, but with each other. If their partner becomes complacent, emotionally, intellectually, or creatively, they begin to lose the emotional spark. For the Gemini Ox, routine without growth is spiritual suffocation. That doesn't mean they crave constant change. They simply need to feel that the relationship is alive and progressing. A partner who is curious, self-aware, and emotionally resilient will keep them engaged for a lifetime. Intellectual connection is just as important as emotional support. They are energized by debate, problem-solving, and the exchange of ideas. They want a spouse who can hold their own in a conversation about anything, from philosophy to pop culture. Boredom is their biggest fear in marriage, not just sexual boredom, but intellectual stagnation. A partner who keeps their mind active is, to them, infinitely attractive. They're drawn to people who have opinions, challenge assumptions, and aren't afraid to explore new perspectives, even if it means disagreeing now and then. Emotional safety, however, is what keeps them grounded. Despite their mental sharpness and outward confidence, they deeply value security and emotional reliability. They need to know that their partner won't flinch when things get tough. When the Ox side is overwhelmed by responsibility, or the Gemini side becomes restless and anxious, their ideal spouse is someone who can hold steady, offer clarity, and remind them of their purpose. They're not drawn to emotionally volatile partners. They want warmth, yes, but within a calm, dependable framework. Someone who overreacts or manipulates emotions will trigger their defensive side. At their best, Gemini Ox individuals build marriages that are both deeply functional and profoundly inspiring. These are the couples who communicate clearly, take care of each other practically, and still surprise each other after decades together. They're the ones who update their dreams every few years and make time for laughter, even during stress. Their marriages are often admired by others, not for being perfect, but for being real. They fight smart, apologize genuinely, and love with intention. For them, marriage is a constant balance of stimulation and stability, curiosity and commitment, independence and intimacy, and they wouldn't have it any other way. Sex. Brain first, body second. For the Gemini Ox, sex is never just physical. It's a psychological and emotional journey that starts long before the lights go out. Mental stimulation is the gateway to physical intimacy. A witty remark, an unexpected compliment, or an insightful observation can stir more desire in them than the most direct flirtation. They're aroused by intellect, by curiosity, by a conversation that dances between sarcasm and sincerity. They want to know what makes their partner think, not just what makes them moan. Without this cerebral connection, sex becomes mechanical, hollow, and easily forgettable. Foreplay, for them, often begins hours, or even days, before any physical touch happens. A meaningful glance over dinner, an unexpected text during a stressful workday, a philosophical midnight conversation, all of it adds to the buildup. The mind is their playground, and they love partners who know how to flirt with ideas as much as they flirt with bodies. You won't seduce a Gemini Ox with cliches or routine. They respond to authenticity, creativity, and a kind of personal magnetism that's unique to you. If you want to get into their bed, start by getting into their head. They don't crave novelty for novelty's sake. It's not about ticking boxes or experimenting for ego. Their desire for creativity in sex comes from a deeper place, a hunger for meaningful connection. They're excited by the possibility of uncovering new parts of themselves and their partner through shared experience. Trying something new in the bedroom is only exciting to them if it's emotionally honest and mutually inspired. They dislike performative passion. They're not looking for a perfect show. They're looking for real moments that feel alive, unscripted, and full of subtle magic. The influence of the Ox gives them a deep, steady sensuality. They enjoy taking their time. The Ox doesn't rush, ever. This makes them extraordinarily patient lovers, attuned to rhythm, detail, and atmosphere. They might not be overly verbal about their desires, but they're highly perceptive, able to pick up on unspoken cues and emotional energy. Meanwhile, the Gemini side keeps things light and adventurous. This is a person who will initiate a slow, lingering touch with the same energy as they might whisper a dirty joke or suggest something spontaneous midweek just to shake things up. They bring a rare blend of depth and playfulness that makes every encounter feel both meaningful and new. Even in long-term relationships, they don't give it all away. There's always a sliver of mystery they hold back, a layer of themselves kept just out of reach. This isn't about withholding intimacy. It's about maintaining intrigue. Their partner never quite knows what to expect next, which is part of the magnetism. The relationship doesn't go stale because they're always growing, always discovering more within themselves and the connection. They don't believe that routine sex is inevitable with time. They believe it's a choice, and they work to keep the spark alive through small surprises and evolving emotional depth. What they value most in sexual intimacy is connection. True, sustained, emotionally intelligent connection. You could be the most physically attractive person they've ever met, but if you're emotionally disengaged or intellectually lazy, they'll lose interest fast. On the flip side, a partner who genuinely sees them, who notices the nuances of their mood and engages them mentally, will awaken their full erotic potential. They're more turned on by vulnerability and shared emotional space than by any single act. Sex without connection feels empty to them, like a conversation where no one's really listening. Trust plays a major role in their sexual expression. They need to feel safe to fully open up. While they may project confidence or even flirtatious bravado, their ox side is cautious with their heart and body. They won't expose their most intimate selves to just anyone. Once they do, however, they become incredibly generous lovers, intuitive, thoughtful, and deeply attuned to their partner's needs. They derive genuine satisfaction from giving pleasure, especially when it deepens emotional closeness. Their sensuality is rich and expansive, more about immersion than intensity. Ultimately, sex for the Gemini Ox is a dance of minds and bodies. It's about trust, surprise, emotional chemistry, and shared imagination. They want to be inspired, not impressed. Challenged, not controlled. Seen, not just touched. If you can meet them in that space, if you can offer them both spark and substance, you'll unlock a lover who gives as deeply as they desire. And you'll find that behind their layered personality is someone who sees intimacy not as a performance, but as the purest form of emotional truth. Friendship, the advisor, the comedian, the ride or die. Friendship with a Gemini Ox is a multi-dimensional experience, equal parts comfort, challenge, and comic relief. They are the kind of friend who will sit in silence with you when you don't have the words, then crack the perfect joke to pull you out of the dark. With Gemini's vibrant sociability and Ox's deep-rooted steadiness, they offer a rare mix of empathy and clarity. They listen closely, speak wisely, and know how to hold space for your chaos without adding their own. They're not just present, they're invested. A Gemini Ox doesn't do halfway friendships, they either care deeply or not at all. They are often the glue that holds friend groups together. While others may come and go, the Gemini Ox sticks around, navigating shifting dynamics with sharp emotional intelligence. Their observant nature makes them excellent at reading people's needs, sometimes even before those people know what they need themselves. You'll often hear them described as the one I call when things fall apart. That's because they don't just give advice, they give perspective. They help you zoom out, see the bigger picture, and take control of your situation without sugarcoating the truth. Their loyalty is steady, but it's never blind. If you're wrong, they'll tell you, but always with love. Their sense of humor is a secret superpower. They don't need to be the loudest in the room to be the funniest. Their comedy is intelligent, well-timed, and effortlessly delivered. They can disarm tension with a single dry remark or lift the whole energy of a room with a quick one-liner. But they're not clowns, they use humor with purpose, often to lighten heavy moments or bring comfort to friends in pain. It's their way of reminding you that, even in chaos, joy is still possible. And when they laugh with you, it's not just for fun, it's a bonding ritual, a moment of shared humanity. They are selective about who they let into their inner world. While they may appear outgoing and open, their most authentic self is shared with only a few. They prefer intimate, enduring friendships to large social networks. They don't chase popularity, they cultivate connection. If you're in their circle, it means they see value in you beyond surface traits. They gravitate toward people who are self-aware, curious, and emotionally mature. Shallow small talk won't get you far with them. They want to know your real thoughts, your quiet fears, your biggest dreams. And when you open up, they'll meet you with sincerity and strength. Emotional boundaries are sacred to them. They can be warm and generous, but also surprisingly private. It's not that they're hiding anything, it's that they're protecting everything. Trust is built slowly, through consistency, honesty, and shared experiences. You might know them for years before they reveal the deeper layers of their life, their past, or their pain. And if you ever break that trust, through betrayal, manipulation, or disloyalty, don't expect an easy path back. Forgiveness may come, but access won't. The Ox remembers. The Gemini moves on. Their support is practical and powerful. They'll bring you tea when you're sick, talk you down from anxiety spirals, help you plan your career move, and proofread your breakup text, all in one afternoon. But they have limits. Drama exhausts them. Repetition without growth irritates them. If your life becomes a constant loop of self-destruction and excuses, they will pull back, not because they don't care, but because they refuse to enable stagnation. Their Ox side demands integrity. Their Gemini side craves evolution. They want to walk with you, not drag you forward. One of the most beautiful things about their friendship is that it matures. With them, the bond deepens over time. Years later, you'll find new things to admire, new layers to appreciate. They'll remember the little details of your story, your favorite childhood memory, the song you danced to in college, the time you cried on their couch after a rough week. These aren't just facts to them, they're threads in the emotional fabric they're weaving with you. They don't forget, they build, and with each shared experience, the foundation gets stronger. Being friends with a Gemini Ox means being seen, challenged, supported, and sometimes lovingly roasted, but always respected. They may not be loud about their affection, but they'll show up at 2 a.m. if you need them. They won't flood you with compliments, but they'll advocate for you behind closed doors. Their loyalty isn't performative, it's practiced. And if you can match their energy, respect their boundaries, and bring your full self to the table, they'll be in your corner for life. Because when a Gemini Ox calls you a friend, they mean it in the most sacred, lifelong sense of the word. Business, the thinker and the builder. In the business world, Gemini Ox individuals are a rare and powerful force. They combine quick, strategic thinking with grounded, persistent execution. Gemini brings the firepower of innovation, ideas that spark instantly, adapt to change, and anticipate trends before the market does. Ox, on the other hand, supplies the engine that keeps things running long after the buzz has died down. This blend of vision and endurance makes them both starters and finishers, capable of not only launching ideas but seeing them through to real-world impact. They don't just dream big, they do the work, every day, quietly and obsessively, until the results speak for themselves. They walk into business meetings like chess masters who've already calculated the game 6 moves ahead. Their Gemini nature allows them to speak fluently across different domains, charming stakeholders, motivating teams, and negotiating with a kind of verbal precision that disarms and persuades without ever becoming aggressive. But it's their Ox-driven follow-through that wins people's respect. They don't just pitch big ideas and vanish, they're the ones responding to emails at midnight, building out frameworks, budgeting resources, and showing up prepared while others are still brainstorming. Their words are sharp, but their actions are sharper. They're born for careers where creativity meets systems. They need just enough flexibility to express their mental agility, but enough structure to apply their methodical nature. That's why they excel in fields like branding, publishing, strategy consulting, tech entrepreneurship, legal negotiation, or product design. They're able to bridge right-brain imagination and left-brain logic with astonishing ease. Give them a vision, and they'll map out the plan. Give them a problem, and they'll dissect it with calm, cold intelligence, then solve it with an unexpected twist no one saw coming. Their work ethic is nothing short of relentless. The Ox inside them doesn't tolerate shortcuts, laziness, or disorganization. They will grind through tasks no one else wants, and they'll do it with quiet dignity. But they're not martyrs. Gemini reminds them to ask better questions, streamline systems, and find faster routes to the same result. Their talent lies in knowing when to be patient and when to pivot. They're not stuck in tradition, nor are they blinded by fads. They know how to blend both into a roadmap that works. Their mantra? Work smart, then work hard. Autonomy is crucial to their success. Micromanage them, and you'll kill their spirit. They thrive when they're trusted with vision and left alone to execute. They like to build things from scratch and often prefer leading over following. Even if they're not in formal leadership roles, they'll naturally take charge, setting agendas, solving logistical chaos, and mentoring others with calm authority. They don't chase the spotlight, but their performance often earns it. And while they're capable of collaboration, they have little patience for inefficiency. Team members who waste time, dodge responsibility, or rely on charm instead of competence will quickly fall out of favor. When it comes to money, they maintain a balanced, thoughtful relationship with it. They're neither reckless spenders nor obsessive hoarders. They see money as a utility, something to be managed, grown, and used with intention. The Ox side helps them save steadily, invest cautiously, and always plan for long-term stability. The Gemini side reminds them to enjoy the fruits of their labor, to splurge on meaningful experiences, and to invest in personal growth, whether that means travel, courses, or business ventures. They won't brag about their finances, but rest assured, they're always in control of them. One of their greatest strengths in the workplace is their ability to inspire trust across every level of the hierarchy. Colleagues admire their consistency, clients appreciate their insights, superiors rely on their dependability. They're the person people turn to when a presentation needs saving, when a launch is on fire, or when no one else can find the answer. Their calm demeanor in high-stakes situations gives them a leadership aura, even when they're not the one in charge. They handle pressure not by panicking, but by doubling down on their strengths, clarity, pragmatism, and an almost eerie level of foresight. And don't mistake their patience for passivity. Gemini Ox professionals see things others miss. Try to manipulate them, and you'll quickly realize you're 3 steps behind. They observe patterns, listen more than they speak, and rarely reveal their full hand. If you try to outmaneuver them in a negotiation, a pitch, or even office politics, chances are, they've already anticipated your strategy and quietly adjusted theirs to counter it. This doesn't come from malice, it comes from mastery. Their business style is never about ego. It's about excellence. And if you're wise, you'll want them on your team, not across the table from you. Dark sides, the shadow within. No one is immune to their own inner battles, and for the Gemini Ox, those battles can be as intense as they are well hidden. While they present themselves as confident, articulate, and composed, their shadow side is a complex knot of mental overactivity, emotional suppression, and internal conflict. Gemini fills their mind with constant motion, ideas, doubts, projections, what-ifs, while Ox pushes them toward perfection, structure, and the need to appear unshakable. This creates a deep inner pressure. The mind wants freedom, but the spirit demands order. It's a tug-of-war that can lead to self-doubt, emotional confusion, and a sense of quietly drowning in expectations, most of which they've set for themselves. One of their most noticeable dark traits is emotional retreat. When wounded, they don't explode, they withdraw. Not physically, necessarily, but energetically. You'll sense it in the sudden stillness of their presence, the distant tone in their voice, the carefully chosen words that carry no real warmth. They may continue to smile, continue to function, even crack a joke, but the emotional connection is gone. And they won't tell you directly that something's wrong. Instead, they'll intellectualize it, push it aside, or quietly file it away. It's not that they want to be cold, it's that vulnerability feels risky, and pain feels like something to handle alone. They can also be surprisingly harsh toward others, especially when those others fail to meet their standards that are often invisible, unspoken, but rigidly held. The Ox in them is traditional and values hard work, loyalty, and consistency. When someone is flaky, lazy, or self-indulgent, the Gemini Ox will judge, sometimes silently, sometimes not. Gemini's sharp tongue combined with Ox's moral certainty can result in cutting criticism masked as just being honest. They rarely lash out, but when they do, their words carry precision, and they sting. And once they've lost respect for someone, it's difficult to earn it back. Another dark tendency lies in their obsession with control. Gemini craves options, endless doors to walk through. Ox demands mastery over whichever door they choose. This can make them incredibly controlling, not of others necessarily, but of themselves and their environment. They need things to make sense. They need plans. They need systems. And when life doesn't cooperate, their anxiety skyrockets. To outsiders, it may look like they're calm under pressure. Internally, though, they're often on the verge of mental burnout. They suppress their feelings, then overcompensate with logic or micromanagement, desperate to fix the outer world because the inner world feels too uncertain. Perfectionism is another trap they often fall into. Gemini pushes them to take on a million projects, ideas, and obligations. Ox wants to do each one flawlessly. The result? Chronic overwhelm. They say yes to more than they should, then beat themselves up when they can't deliver everything at the impossible level they expect. This leads to burnout, resentment, and self-criticism that can border on cruelty. And the worst part? They often suffer in silence. They don't want to be seen as weak, incapable, or, God forbid, human. So they push harder, until something breaks. In relationships, their dark side emerges in the form of emotional armor. They'll use sarcasm as a shield, logic as a weapon, and distance as a punishment. Not intentionally, but reactively. When they feel unsafe or unseen, they don't communicate with vulnerability, they retreat into analysis. Their partner may hear a rational explanation for everything, but feel no real access to their heart. It's not that they don't feel, it's that they've trained themselves not to show it. And over time, this creates emotional isolation, even in seemingly functional partnerships. Professionally, their dark tendencies show up as tunnel vision. They can become so obsessed with details, structure, or the right way of doing something that they lose sight of the bigger picture. Ox makes them perfectionists, Gemini makes them anxious. Together, this can lead to procrastination masked as productivity. They'll tweak a design 10 more times, rewrite an email that was fine the first time, or stay late just to feel like they're in control. But beneath the surface, they're often afraid. Afraid of failing, of not being good enough, of being exposed. Ultimately, their lifelong challenge is learning to surrender the illusion of control, the burden of perfection, and the fear that they'll fall apart if they let their guard down. They must learn that not everything can be solved by thinking harder, working longer, or planning better. Sometimes, the real strength lies in softness, in asking for help, in admitting they're overwhelmed, and in trusting that they are still worthy, even when they are not at their best. Because once they do, they become not only brilliant thinkers and builders, but truly whole human beings. Life goals: build, inspire, evolve. At the heart of the Gemini Ox soul is an unrelenting desire to create something that matters. Not just something flashy or impressive in the moment, but something lasting, meaningful, and deeply personal. They are driven by the idea of legacy, of leaving behind more than memories. They want their life to be proof that substance beats spectacle, that effort outshines entitlement, and that excellence, when paired with integrity, can change everything. Whether it's a business, a belief, a work of art, or a family legacy, their deepest aspiration is to build something that echoes beyond their lifetime. For Gemini Ox individuals, achievement isn't about ego, it's about impact. They are both thinkers and doers, architects of systems and visionaries of ideas. The Gemini in them is constantly seeking, learning, evolving, asking questions, reinventing paths. The Ox brings in the discipline to stick to the plan, to follow through, to perfect the vision brick by brick. This combination gives them the rare ability to imagine the impossible and then actually make it happen. They are the people who don't just talk about writing a book, they write it, revise it, publish it, market it, and start another. One of their lifelong goals is to balance motion and purpose. Gemini energy pushes them to explore, to experiment, to shift from one interest to the next like wind through trees. But Ox pulls them toward foundation, consistency, and durability. This duality means they're always navigating tension between travel and home, creativity and strategy, impulse and intention. When they find the harmony between those poles, they operate on a level few can match. They move fast, but with direction. They take risks, but with a plan. And when they fall, they rise stronger, because the Ox teaches them how to rebuild, while Gemini keeps them from growing bitter. Leadership, for them, is not about control, it's about service. They don't want to dominate a room. They want to improve it. They want to lead teams that matter, shape culture, and mentor others with wisdom earned through experience. Whether they're heading a nonprofit, managing a company, teaching students, or raising children, they lead by example, quietly, steadily, with the kind of authority that doesn't shout but never has to. People follow them not because they demand respect, but because they embody it. Their ability to inspire comes not from charisma alone, but from their ability to make others feel seen, supported, and challenged. They are often driven by a powerful internal compass, an intuitive sense of right and wrong that fuels their ambitions. They don't just want to succeed for themselves, they want their success to elevate others. They dream of launching businesses that employ and empower, building schools that nurture and transform, writing words that outlive them. Their goals are rarely shallow or short-term. Even in moments of personal ambition, there's usually a deeper purpose guiding their decisions: to heal, to connect, to uplift, to leave something better than they found it. Failure doesn't scare them, but stagnation does. Gemini hates repetition. Ox hates wasting time. The idea of staying in one place, intellectually or emotionally, is unbearable to them. They thrive in environments where growth is constant, where they're challenged to level up, to reinvent, to evolve. They don't always need applause, but they do need progress. When they feel stuck, their mood dips and their energy stalls. But when they're building something with meaning, they become unstoppable, waking up early, staying up late, pouring themselves fully into their mission, fueled not by caffeine or pressure but by pure drive. Creativity is also a central part of their life vision. Even when they're working in logic-heavy fields, they bring artistry to everything they touch. The Gemini part of them sees the world in metaphor, color, and potential. The Ox part knows how to harness that creative spark into something concrete. They don't just dream, they draft. They sketch, they edit, they refine. Whether it's writing, design, architecture, storytelling, or community building, they need to make. The act of creation is how they process the world and their place in it. In the end, their life goal isn't one big thing. It's a collection of meaningful efforts that add up to a life of substance. They want to be remembered not for their titles or their trophies, but for their work ethic, their curiosity, their values, and their voice. They want to live with purpose and leave with pride. Their story is not about one grand gesture. It's about a lifetime of thoughtful choices, hard-won lessons, and quiet triumphs. And when their time comes, they won't measure success by wealth or applause, but by the impact of their ideas, the strength of their relationships, and the depth of what they helped build, inspire, and evolve. So, if you ever meet someone who can debate philosophy, plan a business launch, crack a joke, and make you feel totally seen, all within one coffee date, you've likely just met a Gemini born in the year of the Ox. This person will probably leave you wondering how one brain can hold so much versatility. One moment they're diving into Plato's theory of forms, the next they're brainstorming product market fit for a side hustle they haven't even launched yet, but already have a rollout plan for. Then, just as you're starting to feel a little intimidated, they hit you with a perfectly timed joke that has you snorting into your latte. And somehow, through all the rapid-fire insight and cleverness, they look you in the eye and ask you a question that no one's ever thought to ask before, one that makes you feel fully known. That's the Gemini Ox signature, dazzling you with complexity, then grounding you with presence. They are lightning wrapped in gravity. They're the ones taking notes in a meeting while simultaneously writing a poem in their head. They want to build a company and change the world, but also remember your favorite brand of tea and bring it to your house without you ever asking. They live in the clouds and on the ground at the same time. And they don't just multitask, they multi-live. For them, every day is an intersection of the practical and the poetic, of strategy and spontaneity. Their mind never stops moving, but it's always anchored in something real. Their contradictions aren't flaws, they're features. They might seem like they're hard to pin down, but that's because they refuse to be boxed in by one version of themselves. You'll never get the same conversation twice. They evolve, intellectually, emotionally, spiritually. What they believed 2 years ago might have transformed entirely by now. And they'll explain the shift to you, in full, with research, personal anecdotes, and just enough humility to keep you listening. Growth isn't an event for them, it's a lifestyle. They're always renovating themselves from the inside out. They inspire without trying. Their curiosity is contagious, their ambition quietly powerful. You don't leave a conversation with them feeling like you've been talked at. You feel like you've been invited into a world that's bigger, deeper, and more alive. And while they might dazzle with their intelligence or make you laugh until your stomach hurts, what stays with you is their ability to truly see people. They listen differently. They notice things most people skip over. In a world of surface-level chatter, they offer rare emotional depth wrapped in wit. If you're lucky enough to be close to one, you'll learn that their loyalty runs deeper than their charm suggests. They're not just fun to be around, they're built for long-haul relationships, the kind that grow stronger through time, challenge, and shared purpose. They'll push you to be better, hold you accountable, and cheer you on when you forget how to cheer for yourself. They're not perfect, but they're present, and that's rarer than perfection ever will be. Their love, whether romantic or platonic, is a blend of attention, belief, and strategy. They love with their minds and their hands, building you up as if you were part of their legacy. And if you were that person, you're not just a contradiction, you're a masterpiece in motion. You are the architect and the dreamer, the poet with a calendar app, the strategist with a soft spot for street musicians and stray ideas. You carry both burden and brilliance, and you do it with style. You hold space for laughter in boardrooms, for silence in storms, for vision in chaos. You're not too much, you're exactly enough, and if no one's told you lately, the world is better because your mind never settles and your heart always tries. If this resonated with you or made you think of someone in your life, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more Zodiac deep dives, and check out the description for more videos on astrology, personality, and cosmic psychology. And hey, share this with the Gemini Ox in your life. They'll love you for it.